Hello, friends. Have you ever wondered, looking at your Muslim friends or colleagues who don't drink even a sip of water all day, why they do it? Ramadan. For most of us, this word is associated with one simple rule: no food and no drink from dawn to sunset. It seems clear and straightforward. But what if I told you that this is only the tip of a massive, mysterious iceberg? What if fasting is far from the most important part of this month? And what if the very origin of Ramadan resembles a fascinating historical detective story, full of unexpected twists, ancient traditions, and profound meanings that are easy to miss behind the outward rituals? Where did this month come from? Why this particular month and not another? Why does it shift every year? And what really happens in the hearts and minds of more than 1.5 billion people during this time? Today, we're going on a journey 1,400 years back into the heart of the Arabian desert to find the answers. We'll explore how a pagan calendar became sacred, how meditation in a secluded cave changed the course of world history, and why Ramadan is not so much about hunger as it is about far more important things. Get ready. This will be interesting. This is the story of the most mysterious month in Islam. To understand Ramadan, we first need to understand the world in which it was born. Imagine the Arabian Peninsula in the 6th century CE. Not the futuristic skyscrapers of Dubai, but a harsh, sun-scorched land of caravan routes, warring tribes, and ancient beliefs. At the center of this world stood the city of Mecca. Even then, it was not just a city, but a major trading and religious center. The heart of Mecca was the Kaaba, an ancient cubic structure. Today, we know it as the holiest site in Islam. But back then, things were very different. According to various sources, up to 360 idols stood inside and around the Kaaba. Every tribe had its own god or goddess, its own patron deity. People worshipped stones, trees, and stars. This era would later be called in Islamic tradition Jahiliyyah, the age of ignorance. But this doesn't mean people were foolish. They had a rich oral poetry tradition, a complex tribal legal system, and a sense of honor valued above life itself. And they had their own calendar, based on the movement of the moon. Yes, the lunar calendar existed long before Islam, and a month called Ramadan was already part of it. The word Ramadan comes from the Arabic root ramida, meaning scorching heat or parched earth. In the ancient solar-lunar Arab calendar, this month originally fell during the hottest time of the year. Even then, it was considered special. Some historians suggest that in pre-Islamic Arabia, Ramadan was a kind of truce month between warring tribes, a time when swords were sheathed and raids were suspended. It was a season for trade, alliances, fairs, and poetry competitions. So you see, this month already had an aura of significance, though of a very different nature. And in this world, around the year 570 in Mecca, a boy was born into a noble but impoverished clan of Quraysh. His name was Muhammad. He was orphaned at an early age and raised by his grandfather and uncle. He received no formal education, but from youth he was known for honesty and wisdom, earning the nickname Al-Amin, the trustworthy. He became a successful merchant, managing caravans for a wealthy widow named Khadija, whom he later married. It seemed he was destined for a respectable life as a Meccan trader. But something troubled him. He was disturbed by the moral state of society, social inequality, endless tribal conflicts, and idol worship that seemed empty and meaningless. He saw the rich growing richer and the poor growing poorer. He felt that behind the many gods there must be one ultimate truth. In search of answers and inner peace, he began retreating into solitude. Each year, for a period of time, he would leave noisy Mecca and go into the surrounding mountains. His favorite place was a cave on Mount Jabal al-Nur, the mountain of light, the cave of Hira. Picture it, a 40-year-old man sitting in the cool silence of a small cave. Outside, the blazing Arabian sun and scorching rocks. Below, the valley where Mecca lies. He spends days and nights in reflection and meditation, searching for truth. And then, during one of those nights, one of the last 10 nights of Ramadan, something happened that would change world history. Islamic tradition calls this night Laylat al-Qadr, the night of decree or the night of power. According to tradition, while Muhammad was in the cave, a being of light appeared to him. He was terrified. The being seized him and commanded, "Iqra, read or recite." Muhammad, who was unlettered, replied, "I cannot read." But the command was repeated 3 times. And after the 3rd time, words flowed from his lips, the first verses of what would become the Quran. "Read in the name of your Lord, who created man from clot. Read, and your Lord is the most generous, who taught by the pen, taught man what he did not know." Shaken and frightened, Muhammad rushed home. The being, later identified as the angel Jibril, had filled the horizon with light. Wherever he turned, he saw him. At home, trembling, he told his wife Khadijah everything. She was the first to believe in his prophethood. And here lies the answer to the question, why Ramadan? This month became sacred not because it was hot, and not because it was a month of tribal truce, but because it was in this month on the night of power that the revelation of the Quran began. Ramadan became the month of the Quran. But what about fasting? Interestingly, the command to fast during Ramadan did not come immediately. In the early years of his message in Mecca, Muhammad and his small group of followers faced persecution and mockery. Establishing rituals was not the priority. Survival and proclaiming monotheism were. Everything changed in 622 CE after the Year of Sorrow, when both Khadijah and his uncle Abu Talib died. The situation in Mecca became unbearable. Muhammad and his followers migrated to Yathrib, later called Medina, the city of the Prophet. This migration, the Hijra, marks the beginning of the Islamic calendar. In Medina, the first Muslim community, the Ummah, was formed. Laws were established. Mosques were built. About 2 years after the migration, verses from Surah al-Baqarah were revealed, establishing fasting in Ramadan. O you who believe, fasting has been prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, so that you may become righteous. The month of Ramadan is the month in which the Quran was revealed. So whoever among you witnesses the month, let him fast it. Notice the phrase, as it was prescribed for those before you. Islam presents itself not as something entirely new, but as a continuation and completion of the monotheistic tradition of Judaism and Christianity. Fasting as spiritual purification existed long before Islam. Moses fasted 40 days before receiving the commandments. Jesus fasted 40 days in the wilderness. But Islam gave fasting its own unique rhythm. Not 40 consecutive days, but 1 month a year. Not total abstinence from food, but abstaining during daylight hours. And it gave fasting a specific meaning. Ramadan is not a diet or survival challenge. It is a comprehensive system of spiritual reset. First, physical restraint. No food, drink, smoking, or intimacy from dawn to sunset. It teaches self-control. If you can say no to thirst, you can say no to anger, envy, and lies. As Prophet Muhammad said, if a person does not give up false speech and acting upon it, Allah has no need of him giving up food and drink. Second, social empathy. Hunger helps you understand those who are hungry every day. That's why charity increases in Ramadan. Special almsgiving, zakat al-fitr, ensures no one goes hungry on the holiday. Third, spiritual renewal. Ramadan is the month of the Quran. Many aim to read it entirely during the month. Special nightly prayers, Tarawih, are held in mosques worldwide. It is a time of repentance, reflection, and renewal. Why does Ramadan shift every year? Because the Islamic calendar is purely lunar. A lunar year is about 11 days shorter than a solar year. So Ramadan moves backward each year in the Gregorian calendar. Over about 33 years, it cycles through all seasons, ensuring fairness. Ramadan is also about joy. Each evening at sunset comes iftar, the breaking of the fast, traditionally with dates and water. Families gather. Communities host open meals. It is a celebration of gratitude and togetherness. At the end comes Eid al-Fitr, the festival of breaking the fast, a celebration of spiritual victory. So what is Ramadan ultimately? It grew from an ancient calendar but was transformed. It was born in the silence of a cave. It was established in Medina as the foundation of a new community. Ramadan is not a month of hunger. It is the month of the Quran, the month of patience, the month of generosity, the month of community, the month of forgiveness. It is an annual spiritual marathon whose finish line is not a plate of food, but a purified heart. Even if you're not Muslim, there is something universal in its idea. The value of pausing, stepping back from daily chaos, practicing restraint, reflecting on your values, and becoming a better version of yourself. What surprised you most about the history of Ramadan? The fact that it existed before Islam? Or how fasting is connected to the revelation of the Quran? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. I would love to read them. And if you enjoyed this journey into history and meaning, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more fascinating stories. Thank you for your attention, and see you next time.